Hi guys, today I'm making a quick video tutorial on how to run and debug JavaScript with Mozilla Firefox Developer tools. For this tutorial I prepared some resource material that you can access by clicking on the link that I have added in the video description. You can also come and visit my GitHub repository by clicking another link in the video description. So I'm just gonna go ahead and download the resource materials. I'm gonna save on my computer. Extract the zip file in the same location. Then I'm gonna open the tutorial HTML file in Mozilla Firefox. I'm just gonna create a new tab and then I'm just gonna drag and drop the file. And for this tutorial I prepared the currency converter. So we'll be using the console and the debugger features of the developer tools from Mozilla Firefox. In order to access these tools, we need to right click on the page and click inspect element, or you can use the Windows shortcut Ctrl+Shift+I. And then by default it opens in console for me. If you want to move the developer tools on the right hand side, as I have, you can just click on the triple dots and then select dot to right. Okay. Please select the console tab if you haven't done already so. I'm just gonna start by showing you some things you can do with JavaScript in the console. Basically, you can create code snippets, and by default, the browser allows you to write one line at a time, unless you do a function. If you want to do multiple lines at a time, you can use the Ctrl+B shortcut or simply click on the icon on the right hand side of the browser tools, which will make it that you can write multiple lines of code before you run whatever you wrote there. But I'm gonna go back to single line coding. So from here I'm just gonna do some like simple JavaScript. I'll just create, let's say I'll do two variables, A and B, and then I'm gonna hit enter. I'm gonna say A equals 2, B equals 3. I'm just gonna do like a simple addition, A plus B. So you'll see in, the console shows 5, which means that the values of the variables that we just created have been saved in the console. However, if you refresh the page, everything that was in console disappears. So just be careful when you do this. This was just a quick example. I can show you some DOM manipulation as well, such that adding elements, appending some nodes to the body. So for this, I will prefer using the multi-line console editing. So I'll go ahead and transfer this into multi-line. I'll just create a paragraph. So I'll name it para equal document dot create element, and it's of course p. Okay. So I'm gonna go to the end of line, hit enter. I'm gonna add a property which is the inner text property. So I'll have hello everyone, and then I will add an ID for this element. Let's say para ID, and then I'm just gonna create a function. I misspelled it. Function override value, which should be a simple function that takes as a parameter the event that triggered this function, which will be of course a click event from the para node that we're creating. So I'm gonna have e dot target dot inner text will be equal to goodbye everyone. You can see the change in the browser. And then I'm just gonna add an event listener. So the event added is click, and the second parameter would be the function that I've just created, right value, and then I will append this element that I just created to the body of the current page. So I'll have body dot append called para. So as you can see, the element that I just added has been added to the web page, and if I click on it, as you can see, the content, the text content of the paragraph changed to goodbye everyone. Yeah. If I refresh the page, the changes that I made will disappear. However, when you do multi-line coding in the console, Mozilla Firefox just stores whatever you wrote previously, so you don't need to start again from the beginning. It's a sort of snippet. So if you feel that you are happy with the outcome from the code that you just wrote, then you can save this as a file. So this can be saved by using the shortcut Control S, and then a File Explorer window opens and you can save the file wherever you want, so that if you're happy with the changes that you made, you don't need to start from beginning. And when you come back to this code, from here I'm gonna move to the debugger tab. So you should be prompted with something like this. You have an upper panel, and the sources tab should be selected. From here we can check the files that we are using. Okay, then I'm gonna head inside the directory and select the tutorial.js file. From here you can see the content of the tutorial.js file, and for this tutorial I just prepared few events that we can see in the debugger when they get triggered. So I'm just gonna present you a bit of what we can do. We can set breakpoints directly in the file. So for example, I'm gonna set a breakpoint for is amount valid, so that when I click on the convert button, if you look here at the event on line 48, you should see that on click I am calling convert currency function, and then convert currency function inside calls the is amount valid. So when I hit the convert button, I should have the debugger pause where I put my breakpoint, and as you can see, the breakpoints that you have selected from the file have been added to the breakpoints list. And if I click on convert, as you can see, the browser paused, and I can access different values from inside this function. As you can see, I have a scope here, and inside the scopes I have the file that I just received, which is an empty string, and then I have the arguments, and then this, which is the window itself with all these bits. So I'm just gonna click on continue, the button over here, which is resume. You can use F8 shortcut as well. So I'm gonna go back and edit the amount to exchange input. I'm just gonna change it to 8 and click again convert, and as you can see, value became 8. So it has the current value that I put in the amount to exchange input box. And from here I can also go and check line by line. If I click on the step over icon, which is on the top right corner, and I'm gonna move on to the next command that gets executed, because this if statement return false, is gonna go on to the next line, which is another if statement, and if this one returns false as well, it's gonna go and finish with returning true. And if I click step over again, it's gonna exit the function and come inside the function that called the isAmountValid function in the beginning. and then carry on, finish the rest of the code. So I'm just gonna click on resume, and as you can see, the amount got converted to 960. Also, you don't need to set a breakpoint necessarily, so you can use the event listener breakpoints, and you can select what kind of events you're looking into. So for example, I'm just gonna look for mouse events, right? I can tick this box so that all the mouse events get triggered. So no matter what I do, if I have a function that uses one of these events, it will get called. So for example, I have a mouse over function for this event from here. So as you can see, the browser paused instantly once I got to hover over the content of this span element, which is, if I look in the inspector, it's actually a header. So I actually have the event for header. I just realized I forgot that it's not the span itself that has the event listener. So once I scroll, I hover over the header, the debugger stops the execution of the code and let me access the current line that gets executed. So I have access to everything from the function that got triggered when I hover over that element. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on the run button. So we continue, and as you can see, this got triggered again because after I had the mouse over event, I had a mouse out event which gets triggered as well. Also, we can, since I selected for all the mouse event, I can do the same for the convert function, convert button, which has a click event listener. So it will go by default in the, you should go by default inside the tutorial.js file and stop at the line 12. So if I'm gonna go again, as you can see, the browser stopped here. So if I click on step over, it goes ahead and inside the function, and then carries on. And as I go through the lines, you can see in the scopes all the values of every element that of every variable that I have access to. Even these are normally the local variables inside the convert currency function, but you can access the global ones from window as well. And from here we can see some of the default values and the function. You can see each of the functions, what they have, and some of parameters, rates. We can check the values of the rates, which are globally declared, and pretty much that's it. We can also make use of the watch expression tab, which allows us to compile different sort of expression. So for example, if my amount is currently 8, I can set an expression such that I see how much is the amount plus 10. So if I click enter, now it's unavailable because the amount hasn't received the value yet. So if I step over, you can see the value change. So amount plus 10 is 810 because the browser considered that amount is a string. So we didn't get the conversion yet for our amount. Thus, we see this kind of wrong results. We can edit this expression. If we double click on it, we can replace the plus sign with multiplier sign, and there you go, you have 80 because the browser first converts the first parameter to a number and then does the multiplication. So we can also set breakpoints manually. So if we remove all the event listeners that we've set and we resume to the function, then if we select one line of code that should get executed when you trigger an event, for example, line 20. If I change the value from here and I click convert, as you can see, the browser stopped at the line that I set the breakpoint. So this way I can find any problems that exist in my code. In case some result is not what I expected, I can find out where the issue came from. Most of the type conversion issues, such that the browser doesn't know whether you're trying to use a string or a number, most of the time it's good to use a parser or something, so that you make sure the result is always what you expect, or you try to convert the value from a number to string or the other way around. So I'm just gonna go ahead and step over the different lines of code, and as you can see, you'll notice all these changes that take place in the scope. The from, for example, is one of the fields that I have in there, which is for the select. It tells me what kind of currency I've currently checked, and then I'm gonna go ahead and resume, which will give me the result that I wanted to see. You can also use, there are two other icons that you have next to the step over and resume buttons, which are the step into and step out. This allows you to get inside the functions that get called inside functions. So for example, we have the isAmount valued function that gets triggered inside the convert currency. So if I'm gonna set a breakpoint here, next time I click on the convert button, I can actually click on step into. So it will get me inside the code of the isAmount valid function. So from here, if I click step out, it will direct me back to the convert currency function, to the next line that needs to be executed. So this is kind of it, the tutorial for JavaScript development. I hope you understand how to use the console and the debugger tools now. Thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time.